So I've got my little table in front of me, which looks quite funny. But we're going to start, before we do some yin yoga to relax and help our flexibility. We're going to do your little shoulder work on the table. So what I want you to do is hold a dumbbell in your arm with your hand facing forwards. So not like you're doing a dumbbell, like you're doing a bicep curl, but the other way. I'm sure you've done this before, you know it. Keep your elbow on the table, and we're going to do 3 sets of 8, and we're just going to move from arm to arm. So while the one arm is resting, the other arm's working. So I'll guide you through. Okay, here we go. So 1, keep the elbow attached to the desk. 2, 3, 4, 5, keep the arm in line. 6, the forearm in line with the elbow. 7, 8, and we stop there. Not used to 8. Let's go for the other side. 1, swap the dumbbell over. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and swap the arms. 1, 2, this is our second set. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Sorry. Stop at 8. 1, I'm on autopilot. 2, 3, 4, we'll do 10 on this side as well. 5, stop if it's too much. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, swapping the hands, we'll do 8. 1, 2, 3. If there's any form things I'm missing, then please feel free to swap what you're doing. 6, you're probably more familiar with this exercise than me, and 8. 1, feels right. 2, quite a simple movement, I think. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Very nice. And that's our shoulder work done for the day. Moving this out of the way. Back to its place. Now we're going to do some nice yin yoga today, Claire. So if you've got any if you have any yin props, great. You might find bricks useful. A bolster if you've got one, fantastic. If not, some cushions, as many as you like, and a folded up blanket can be really useful. So the first position we're going to do is standing. So one of the only standing yin postures. And in yin, what we do is we hold the positions for a number of minutes. I'm sure you know that. So rather than breaths, we hold for minutes. And the key thing about yin is that you come to 60-70% of what you're able to do flexibility wise. So you only go into the pose as far as you feel your edge. So when you feel the first point of resistance, stop there. And it should never be so intense that you want to come out before the minutes are up. I'll always tell you how many minutes we're going to be doing in a position. And yeah, just find that place where you know you can sustain it, but you still feel a bit of work happening. And as the pose progresses, you'll find that it becomes more intense over time. Yeah, okay, so let's get started with our first position. We're going to come to a position called dangling, which is like a uttanasana in sort of Sanskrit speak. And we're going to come to wherever on our mats, doesn't really matter. Bend your knees deeply here. Now I know you've got open hamstrings, but bend your knees, let your chest come onto your thighs, and really just completely relax here. Now I know this position isn't going to be particularly difficult for you, so I'm not sure you'll need any props really. If you wanted to take bricks underneath the hands, you could, but I don't see that you'll need them. So find the position here. If you feel nothing with the knees bent, then start to straighten them a little bit, but make sure that the back is completely relaxed, the neck can stay relaxed. And we're going to be in this position for 2 minutes from now. So just relaxing into this position. Not worrying about your breath so much in yin. You can breathe naturally. You don't have to keep the lips sealed even. In yin, we're not looking to create heat. We're looking really to just, in a sense, cool down. And in fact, in yin, it's quite usual to get cold. So if you need a blanket or a jumper at any point, socks, feel free to wear them. We can wear socks in yin. It's fine. We're coming up to about almost halfway through this position. So notice how your body's feeling. If your body is saying, oh, I'm not sure how I'm going to spend another minute here, then just gently, gently come out a little bit from the posture. If you want to go a little bit further, you can start to take your legs to straighten a little bit more, maybe take the hands around the back of the thighs, pull yourself in a little bit. But again, only take it to where you think you can hold it for the last minute. Try not to put any muscular effort into what you're doing. We're coming to the last 30 seconds of the position. So I'll let you have these in silence. Taking a deep breath in through the nose and sighing out through the mouth. Just release that. And gently, gently bringing your hands to the floor. Gently start to bend the knees deeper. And we're going to come into a yogi squat from here. So move those feet, moving really slowly. Move those feet out wide as the mat. Maybe the toes are off the mat here. And sit down into your malasana. You don't have to have your hands at the heart center here. You don't even have to have your back completely straight or anything like that. Just releasing that position. Notice any rushes of energy that you get, any feeling, any sensation in the back of the legs, in the lower back. Notice how that pose felt. So we always come to a little counter pose in yin. I don't know how much yin you've done before, but the counter pose just allows the pose that we've done to settle before we can move on. Taking another few moments here, noticing, paying attention, and trying to be as soft as possible. From here we're going to come into frog position, and we're going to be doing frog for 3 minutes. Now with frog, if you have any knee problems, I suggest putting 2 cushions, one underneath each knee. It can also feel really nice to have a rolled up blanket or a bolster for your chest to rest on. So open your knees as wide as you like, have those feet flexed, and find your way into frog position. So here, using this blanket just underneath ourselves. It can also be nice, if I can get my props, to have a block under the head. Again, if you have a bolster, it will do the whole job for you, but most people don't have bolsters in their houses. So just coming into frog, those feet moving out to the side. Also, if this is too much with the feet out, if you think I'm not going to be able to hold that for 3 minutes, then just bring the feet to touch, like almost in a child's pose, but still keep the hips forwards. So the hips are not touching the feet like they would in a wide leg child's pose. the hips are forwards. So from the side, it would be like, oh dear, like so. Or with the feet like so. I prefer the feet flexed myself. I think it's nicer on the knees, but my hips are fairly open. So let's find this position and take it for 3 minutes. Letting there be no muscular effort. Let the hands do whatever they want to do. You could even make a pillow with the hands if you didn't have anything underneath you. If you didn't want the props, you don't have to use them. But only coming where you know you can sustain for 3 minutes. Again, you could just be propped up on your forearms. You might need to adjust yourself a little bit here, just play with some different things. That's fine. I'm sorry I'm not showing you this from the side. I don't want my knees on this floor. Make sure your knees aren't on wooden floors. It's not good for them. Hopefully you'll feel a really nice opening in the groin here. Shouldn't be too intense. If it's too intense, just come out a little bit. Come up a little bit higher. You can have your hands on blocks. Use the props to help you. We've already had a minute here, and we've got another 2 minutes to go. Noticing at every turn how the pose feels for you. Is your body saying, oh, please stop this? If it is, then come out a little bit. You know, if anything is too much on the whole, just come out. You don't need to hold it the whole time. You can just come into a child's pose or whatever you need. It should feel nice though. With yin, it should feel kind of uncomfortable, but the right side of uncomfortable. We're coming up to 2 minutes. So listen to your body. If your body's saying, actually, I need to go a little bit deeper, just walk those feet out a little bit or move away your props. Come all the way down with the chest. Maybe you could experiment with sitting back a little further into the hips or moving the knees out a little bit. But go gently, go slowly. And as we're coming up to the last 30 seconds of the position, I will let you spend that in silence, just observing how the pose is making you feel both physically and mentally. Taking a deep breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. Gently starting to prop yourself up on your forearms if you're not there already. Then gently coming onto your hands, walking your hands in and pressing down with the hands a little bit to just move those knees in towards each other, slowly, gently taking time to come out here. Sometimes coming out of these positions can feel even more intense. We're going to come to a counter position in Balasana, well, child's pose. Knees together, forehead to the ground, bum touching the heels, hands by the sides. Take a minute here and notice how that pose feels now that you're out of it. Can you feel any sensation in the hips? Can you feel any sensation anywhere else? Have you noticed any temperature changes in the body? Are you noticing any emotions coming up? Just take this moment in child's pose to let the pose do its work. On an inhale, we're looking forwards and gently, slowly coming to kneel. And from kneeling, we're going to come into saddle, which is essentially Virasana. So I know you like Virasana. Now we can use props here as well. You might feel that you don't need them, and that's okay. If you feel like that, then that's fine. Take full Virasana saddle, as we call it in yin. So our knees don't need to be touching in yin. They can be a little bit wider if you want. Sit in between your calves, so you can move the calves away if you need to, and sit in between. If you like to have the knees together, then feel free. And from here we can come down just onto the forearms. We can lie all the way down. We can bring a bolster or a blanket just underneath our spine to give us a bit of support. Give us a bit of opening here, that might feel nice. If you haven't got enough, you can have a little brick under the head. Kind of makeshift. A bolster is fantastic in this position. Or if you can't feel anything in the quads here, make sure you move the hips forwards. Then just come all the way to the floor. We're going to be in saddle for 4 minutes. So only come to your 60%. Prop yourself up a little bit if you need it. Taking 4 minutes from here. And again, we don't really use special breathing in yin, although sometimes people do like to use an ujjayi breath, but not like a strong ujjayi breath, powerful, more like a gentle, gentle, gentle one. So just to keep you tuned in to yourself. And as we're lying here for a long time, the mind naturally wants to wander, it wants to do other things. So sometimes people find ujjayi breath, I certainly find ujjayi breath useful to just return to what they're doing. You should be able to feel this in the quads, maybe a little bit in the lower back. Now we're coming up to just a minute in this position. Yin yoga allows us to activate our rest and digest, our parasympathetic nervous system. You know, we spend all of our days basically in our sympathetic nervous system, our fight or flight, because we're constantly dealing with little micro stresses. So years ago, our fight or flight was to do with whether we were fighting a saber-toothed tiger or not, if we had to get away. But now that the saber-toothed tigers have gone and we're not cavemen anymore, we don't need to hunt our food or run away from any dangers. Or we don't have to do that on a sort of weekly or monthly basis. We find other things to make our stresses about. So an argument with a boss can feel like you have to fight or flight, you know, you have to run away or fight him. We're coming up to 2 minutes, so if you're feeling like, oh, actually, this isn't comfortable for me anymore, I don't think I'm going to be able to sustain it for another 2 minutes, then please feel free to come out a little bit, prop yourself up on your forearms, or even come all the way up to seated. And if you want to come out of saddle completely, then please feel free to just stretch those legs out and just relax for a while. Only do things that bring you some kind of joy, you know. It might feel a little uncomfortable, that's okay. Anything that's too much, then as in everything, just release it. If your body's saying I need a little bit more here, I think a more advanced variation of saddle is if you're lying flat on your back, you can start to draw one knee in towards the chest. Try it, see how it feels if that's what you want to do. And again, you can always send me questions about these poses. If there's one that you just think, I'm not feeling anything here, then please just drop me an email or a text and I'll look at some more advanced variations, or you wouldn't really say advanced, but different variations, so that hopefully you can feel something in the posture. And we're coming to our last minute here. Noticing where you feel the tension in this position. Breathing into that area of tension, breathing into the work. I'll let you take the last 45 seconds or so, 30 seconds or so in silence, just observing this position and how it makes you feel. Taking a deep breath in through the nose and sighing out through the mouth. To come out now, start to gently push down through your elbows, come up onto your forearms, and gently, gently start to bring yourself out. Again, you might not have felt much when you were in this position, but as you come out, you might find you get more of a strong sensation. Come onto your knees, so come to kneeling for a moment. And just take a moment here for a little bit. Remove any props. Get them out of the way. And when you're ready, come down into a child's pose once more. Bringing the forehead to the floor. Take a few moments here. Again, knowing to take your time. Saddle is a back bend as well as a quad stretch, so sometimes coming straight into the flexion of the spine after we've extended it can be a bit too much, so just take your time here. And when you're ready, we're going to make our way onto our stomachs, so you can do that however you like, but however you like, do it slowly. We are being yin today. I'm going to move this block, it's going to annoy me. We're going to come into Sphinx and Seal, or Sphinx or Seal. We're going to start together in Sphinx. So I'm just showing you a little prop that you can do in Sphinx, having a bolster or a blanket underneath the chest and the arms just underneath, just near it can be nice, can feel really nice, a little bit supportive. If you don't need it, you don't need it. We're going to be in Sphinx for 4 minutes. Another thing you can use is a block underneath your forehead. So you don't have to have your forehead up the whole time. If you find it nice to just let that neck drop, then please do. We're going to be spending 4 minutes here. You might not like the brick underneath your head. Sometimes I don't really like it. I kind of feel like it's a bit obstructive, or it hurts my forehead a little bit. And I just want to let my head hang. Perhaps having the block on a lower level would be nice. And again here, we're just looking for that slight compression in the back. Trying to keep the chest as open as we can, but also just letting that forehead do what it wants. Now, if you prefer, you can keep your forehead up if having it slumped doesn't feel right. Work what feels good for you. Also, your feet don't need to be together in this position. They can be quite wide. You might not feel much here. If that's the case, then I've got a little variation coming up that I can give you. Trying to avoid shuffling like I just did. We want to try and hold the position as still as we can with as little movement as we can. We're coming up to 2 minutes in this position, our halfway point. So if you're not feeling very much, there's an option to just bend your knees, bringing the feet in towards the body. You might start to feel a little bit more in the back by doing that. But again, only coming to that 60% place. If you like back bends, then then this still might not be enough. In which case, I will give you another variation in a moment. But sometimes it's nice to just let the work not be so intense. We know that the work is happening even if we're not feeling loads. And as we're coming to our final minute, if you want a little bit more in this position, you can either unbend those knees, push down into your hands, take your hands to the corners of the edges of the mat, push into your hands and come up into seal, adjusting so that it's comfortable. Holding the arms like so. If you still want more, you can bend those knees again. But knowing we're going to be here for another minute, 45 seconds. So only come to where is good for you. This I'd say is a little bit too much for me. I prefer Sphinx with bent knees. I'll let you have the last 30 seconds in silence. Taking a deep breath in through the nose and sighing out through the mouth. Gently let your legs come down to the floor. Push into your hands, bend your knees as we start to come out back into our tabletop position. We're going to take a little cat-cow before we come into child's pose again. Inhale, drop the belly to the floor, look up to the ceiling. Exhale, round through the spine, push the floor away. Let's do another one. Inhale, dropping the belly, looking up. And exhale, rounding through the back. From here, bring the knees together, the big toes to touch. Move any props and come into your child's pose. Notice any feeling in the back, any sensation you get from moving from back bend, from extension to flexion. Perhaps it feels nice, perhaps it feels like there's suddenly more space in the back. Perhaps you're feeling a little bit of tingling, maybe a little bit of pulling. That's okay as long as it's not painful. It's just a bit of tension trying to release. Staying here for a little while longer. From here, we're going to come up to kneeling, gently. Send those legs out to the side, come onto our bums, and gently make our way onto our backs, lying down. Not using any muscular effort here. Bring your feet together in the middle of the mat, and we're going to come into Banana Asana. So we're going to make the shape of a banana on the mat. So bring your legs over towards the left-hand side of the mat. So we're just going to walk the feet over to the left-hand side of the mat. And from here, we're going to shuffle the shoulders, pick them up, put them down, over towards the left side of the mat as well. We're going to bring our hands overhead, like we're in a shape of a banana. Or we could hold on to the elbows if we wanted to, or just let the hands be as they want. and holding here for 3 minutes. Now again, this position, you might feel you're not feeling a whole lot. This is a great stretch for the ITB band. Again, it might just be subtle, but that's okay. Subtle is all right. There are ways we can intensify Bananasana. And again, once we hit about 1 minute 30, I'll give you a little intensification, but sometimes it's nice to let the pose settle and then move it on a little bit. You could have a pillow underneath your head in this position if you want. Should have said that at the beginning, really. If you fancy putting one under your head for the next bit of the pose, then feel free to. Noticing how the side bend makes you feel. Breathing into that side of the body, really trying to expand the ribs here. And we're about halfway through this position now. So to intensify it a little bit, take a hold of the right wrist with the left hand, just gently encouraging that side bend a little bit more here. And you can take the left foot on top of the right, the right foot on top of the left. Again, intensifying that stretch just a little bit. Hopefully you can see my Bananasana, but really it's how it feels in your body. There's no perfect alignment in Yin. We're coming up to the final minute in the position. And I'll let you have the last 30 seconds of this position in silence. Taking a deep breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. Gently start to move the legs back into the centre of the mat. Move the shoulders back to the centre and let the arms come down by the sides. Take the feet out wide, the hands to face, palms up, like a Shavasana pose. We call this pentacle in Yin. And just allow yourself to notice any differences between the sides. Taking a moment here. And then when you're ready, moving both of the feet over to the right hand side of the mat this time. The shoulders move over as well, just shuffle them over. The hands come overhead. And again, don't come to the full advanced position yet, just allow this first position to settle first. We'll take 3 minutes here. Now seeing if one side is more stretched than the other, or one side is tenser than the other. Notice if both of your hips are still on the floor, try to keep them on the floor as much as possible. Try not to wriggle around. I'm doing a bit of wriggling tonight, and I shouldn't be really, but when you're teaching, sometimes your mind isn't as focused. But try and stay as still as you possibly can. As little muscular effort as possible. We're really trying to get into the joints here. The joints and the connective tissue, the parts of the body that when we exercise we don't get into. It's only when we allow our muscles to stop working that we get into the joints, that we let these poses really get deep into our body and really improve our flexibility, but also keep us mobile into later life, stop our joints getting stiff and the fluid from leaving them. We're halfway through the position now, so if you'd like to take the left foot on top of the right, take a hold of the left hand with the right hand, pulling that left arm over a little bit more. Perhaps you want to even shuffle those legs a little bit further over, getting a deeper side stretch. You should look like the shape of a banana, hence the name Banana Asana, or Banana Asana, however you say it. Coming up to the final minute now. Noticing how you're feeling emotionally. Noticing how you're feeling energetically. And noticing how you're feeling physically. I'll let you take the last 45 to 40 seconds in silence. Taking a deep breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. Gently come back onto your back. Bring your legs out wide, your hands to the sides. And just relax here in Pentacle or Shavasana. I invite you to take your Shavasana for as long as you would like. I won't guide you today. Just lie here for however long feels right